Welcome to the Pitchwerks podcast. I'm Scott McTaggart. Over the last 20 years, I've been a sales rep, a marketer, a manager, an executive, a consultant, and an advisor. This show is designed to give you access to my list of contacts so that you can learn more about how to present your ideas at work and succeed in your career.
Startups and salespeople, marketers and managers from the Epicast Network in Pittsburgh. It's the Pitchwerks podcast.
Since Ford invested in their engineers having access to TechShop, their patents rose by 33%.
Wow.
Well, a couple of years later, there was a second study done, and their patents increased by, I believe, 103%.
All right, it's Wednesday morning, and that must mean it's the Pitchwerks podcast. We come to you every week with ideas and concepts and things that might make your career go a little bit faster, get you where you want to go a little bit better. I'm Scott McTaggart, and we've got a little bit of housekeeping, but before we get into that, I at least want to tell you what's on the other side of it. We're going to talk to Olga Pogoda of TechShop, and Olga's got a ton of things to talk to us about. Very, very interesting conversation coming up. Let's do our normal housekeeping stuff. As I mentioned before, I am Scott McTaggart, and as a personal favor, I would like for you to rate and review this fine program in iTunes or Google Play or whatever you might have to come to our show every week. And you're going to give us 5 stars that says, hey, that's a pretty good experience, and I'm glad I did it. Or 1 star, which is, well, there's half an hour I'm never going to get back. Either way, let us know what you think. You know, more commentary is better. Tell us what you want out of the program. You can also do that through the various social channels. That's Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, which I've actually gotten pretty good at reminding you about. And then don't forget there's a website that brings the whole experience together. That's pitchwerks.com, Pitchwerks. For all of these different places, you're just going to put the E in works. So, Olga Pogoda, welcome to the Epicast Studios. Who is that you've got on your lap there?
Hello. I have baby Poppy.
Hey, Poppy.
She is my second little girl.
Yeah.
And she just turned 3 months.
The world has changed so much where you and I did our first meeting, and I told you I was thinking I might bring my daughter, and you brought your daughter instead.
Yep.
I think it's interesting the way the world got smart about the fact that family is a thing, you know, and we're all basically here because there's some motivation we have at home, right? There's whether it's something that's burning inside of us because we just, you know, like we have this dream, this thing we want to do, or because, you know, baby Poppy and her big sister Penny, right? Mm-hmm. You know, you're sitting here saying, like, I just want to make the world just a tiny bit better for them. And whatever that means, I'm going to do it. I think it's very, very cool. And we're happy to have Poppy with us this evening, I guess it is now.
Yeah, thank you.
So tell me about TechShop. Tell me about specifically, because some people don't necessarily know what I mean when I say TechShop, and I don't want them to be left out.
Sure. So TechShop is a makerspace. So it is a gym for geeks, as our CEO likes to say. So basically, if you want to come in and you want to make anything from pillowcases to motorcycles,
right,
you can come in and make that a TechShop.
I want to make a motorcycle. I'm not sure that I've got the patience to build one.
Well, there's actually a gentleman in our DC location that's building an airplane.
That's cool.
So it's very cool. So you can do very simple things and learn your basic, DIY skills, and you can do very complicated things as far as, making your own machinery, building your own cabinets, or, doing anything for your home or for your business. And it costs us around $1.2 million.
Wow.
To purchase every piece of equipment in the shop. Some of the equipment is obviously more expensive than others, but there is some, cheaper equipment as well, like basic sewing machines.
How do you know that this is a good market or this is where you want to put TechShop when you're on the road? They've got you driving around scouting locations.
I think it's a number of things. We really do an in-depth dive on what a new location means for us and for the city or town itself. So we spend anywhere from 3 to 6 months really researching the place. So we me and my boss, Amber Ross, we
Shout out to Amber. Got to
Shout
make
out
sure
to
she gets
Amber,
credit
yep.
for being on the show.
Heck yeah, I would love that. If people could just, tweet her and poke her, that would be really fun for me.
For a reasonable fee, I'm sure we can make it happen here at the Epicast Studios.
Let's do it.
So Amber and you kind of work it out.
Yes.
You've got an idea, because it seems to me that the demographics are going to be really different from one place to the other.
Absolutely. Yeah. So it comes down to, is the community ready for a tech shop? And do they even want a tech shop?
Right. Yeah.
Because if we go there and people are like, yeah, we don't really, like you're not that great. We don't want you here.
Yeah.
We want to be an anchor in a community. We want everybody to come to us. So that means, kids, moms, engineers. So it comes down to the community. It comes down to potential partners in the area, stakeholders.
Right.
We want universities in the area.
That's what I figured you meant when you said partners and stakeholders and such. Is that you're trying to get that student population coming in?
Absolutely.
I assume mostly prototyping, new ideas?
Absolutely. Prototyping, even working on their college projects, right? I mean, they all have things that need to get done. They don't always have access to a lab. They can come to us.
Identifying markets is a big part of your job. And that's fascinating to me. It always has been. But most of the time when I figure out what bet to make on what market, I'm not betting $1 million worth of gear on it. I'm betting like a person working a sales job in that place, and they kind of don't bring any millions of dollars until something's sold, right? So, and I hate to ask the uncomfortable question, but what does a miss look like, and how often does it happen?
Well, we did have a miss in North Carolina.
Yeah.
And it was before my time, so I'm not 100% sure.
I'm glad you're not self-incriminating too. I'm really happy about that.
I think it was a year before my time. And I'm not exactly sure what happened, but basically it was a franchise opportunity. And we learned that we really can't franchise.
It's not your thing.
Yeah. And basically, from my understanding, things were run, not TechShop style.
Yeah.
And membership rates were off. The equipment wasn't what we expected to be. And
well, you're just going to have variations when somebody decides that they don't need to listen.
Absolutely.
And it doesn't necessarily need to be good person, bad person. It's just, if it didn't work and you're looking at the formula, like, well, we didn't follow our formula.
Right. Exactly. The formula definitely wasn't followed. And, we just learned that we can't franchise, and we had to shut down that location. We took a huge loss on it.
Sorry.
And, moving forward, we know what we have to do now.
Yeah.
We know that we can't franchise, but, we do partner with many different companies, which, makes us happy.
Yeah. How old of an organization is TechShop?
We just turned 10 years old.
Yeah. It's weird in that it feels like an institution, but it can't be that old.
It's not that old. And I mean, we say we're 10 years old, but for a long time, it was just the West Coast locations.
Yeah.
And we didn't expand to other locations until, 5 years later. So we only started expanding 5 years ago. So there were a lot of lessons learned along the way. And our staff obviously grew. We had to figure out how to function. How do we function, from one side of the country to another? How do we, how does each shop still kind of follow, the tech shop model? How do we make it so that they're consistent?
Yeah.
But how do we assign a personality to each shop, right? Because the people that are working in one shop might be focused in one area, and then on the other side of the country, they're focused in a different area.
You mean in terms of the tools being used or the demographic being served, or all of the above?
I think it's all of the above. We want to make sure that each shop fits every single community. As I said, we're building these for the community. So, if there's a big need for, let's say, an electronics studio, we want to make sure that we're accommodating and that, we build out a larger electronics studio in one place. Whereas, like Detroit, they love, their automotive bay there.
Right.
So we need to make sure that we're accommodating the type of people, and what their hobbies are in every single location.
That's cool. I would love to see what the Auto Bay in Detroit Tech Shop is doing. And if anybody has pictures, I want them, just because you have to believe they're bringing something to the party from somewhere else. They used to work for GM or Ford, and they know this better than maybe even some of your employees. They just need access to the tools.
Yeah. And Ford actually, they provide memberships for their engineers. Yeah, they have, I believe, 300 memberships for their engineers. And there was a study done, an independent study done, that determined that since Ford invested in their engineers having access to TechShop, their patents rose by 33%.
Wow.
Well, a couple of years later, there was a second study done, and their patents increased by, I believe, 103%. Just by giving their engineers time to innovate and kind of work on their own projects and get a clear mind, they came back to Ford. They came back to Ford with their own ideas and said, "Hey, can you help me patent this? We can make this work?"
No disrespect to you or to Tech Shop, right? It would feel like a luxury if it weren't specifically supported by your employer, right? There's probably 30 to 50% of those people that wouldn't have purchased the membership.
You're absolutely correct.
Yeah.
It's a perk.
It is a perk.
Yeah.
That's cool. Because that 103 now, we've now doubled patent output at Ford based on basically just giving a perk out.
Yep.
I would love to see what the downstream economic impact is now with all that intellectual property now being re-injected back into the company.
Absolutely.
That's cool stuff.
It's very interesting.
So how did you get into this? Like how did you end up being the let's find markets person for Tech Shop, right?
It's a crazy story. So I heard about Tech Shop opening in Pittsburgh. I didn't really know what it was, and it turned out that one of my friends went and worked for them, and we saw each other out one night, and he said, "Olga, you have to come and check this place out. You have to come." So I went.
Now wait, where are you working at this point, or are you working at this point?
I was barely working. We had just had our first child, and I was just looking to get back into something.
So you said that's like 4 years, because Penny's like 4 years old, right?
Yeah. Yep.
Okay,
so it was about 3.5 years ago. I put in an application. I got hired to work at the front desk. In 3.5 years, I've taken almost every class that's offered, and done projects, for my home since then. But they're so patient in teaching me. And then, when you mess up and you come back to one of the staff and you say, "Oh, I forgot how to do this," or "I'm not quite sure how to run that," they're so supportive.
Yeah.
And so I went from knowing nothing to knowing so much. It was just an awesome transformation for me. And one day, at the time, our COO, he's now our CEO, and our operations manager, who's now our VP of marketing, but they were in Pittsburgh, and they said, "Hey, would you like to go get some breakfast?" And I said, "Okay, that sounds cool." And then they just...
Now, how many layers of management are between you and them at this point? I mean, I don't know how flat of an organization it is.
Not that much,
Okay,
we have very much an open door policy, and there's not that. We are still a very small company.
Okay, I didn't realize that, because you say this like COO and the VP of marketing now. That sounds like God come from down.
It still felt like it, because I literally never met them before. They just interviewed me on the spot and called me a week later and offered me this awesome job that I've truly enjoyed doing since then. And whoa, what you guys just heard there.
What's up? Pops.
That was awesome. You showed them, Poppy.
She was angry too.
Yep.
That was an angry burp, wasn't it, hon? Oh my goodness. It's a good thing you let that go. You might have floated away.
I think so.
So anyway, we were talking about, so you got invited in to breakfast
Yes.
with the then COO and who is now the CEO.
Yep.
And the conversation is, can you come have breakfast with us?
Yes. And then I got a wonderful kind of on the spot interview. And, they offered me this job a week later. And
And the job at that point was the same job title as it is now, or was it still being defined?
no, my role has changed slightly, but, it was essentially this job. And one of the wonderful things has been not just, being able to work from home and have this amazing flexible schedule, and not just, being able to know that I'm making a difference in these communities, but it's all the people that we've met along the way. I'm just so passionate about Tech Shop. I'm trying to not sound super cheesy.
I don't think you're sounding cheesy.
But it really is a place where you can come in and really make your dreams come true. We have hundreds of success stories that we've collected from every single location of, people coming in, just having an idea or a dream or something that they've been working on and been stuck.
Yeah.
And we just gave them that like tiniest of the extra push, or gave them just the place where they could do it.
Yeah.
And we just watched them blossom and grow. And it's been so wonderful to see it. And I mean, you've interviewed Boxy.
Yeah. A little birdie told me that you helped them with their Kickstarter.
I did, and they're just, Joel and Justin, they're just so wonderful. And
I haven't yet met Justin.
oh, you have to.
We had
he's
Joel,
so
though, and we
sweet.
had Hadley. I'm sure you know Hadley.
Of course I do.
They came in. They were great. We did 2 episodes with them, 7 and 8. And we were like really interested in doing like a teardown of how their sales were working.
Mm-hmm.
And they just sort of casually were like, oh yeah, and by the way, we're the largest technology startup in Pennsylvania history. So you participated in that.
I did. And, Joel, we met at Tech Shop, and it was, when they just kind of had this idea and we're trying to figure out, how are we going to make this work? How are we going to build this? And, I watched them grow into this awesome, company.
Did you see they were just on they just received a great review, by the way.
Make Magazine?
Make Magazine.
Absolutely.
I was going to ask you if you saw it.
Of course I did.
Yeah. So what's the challenge, right? You're explaining Tech Shop to somebody. What do they get and what do they not get?
I think that's a really good question. I mean, I think people understand that, engineers and manufacturers can come in and use it.
Right.
I think what people have a hard time understanding is that literally anybody off the street can come in and use it.
Well, you said it's very supportive.
It's supportive, and by saying that we are an open access makerspace, we really mean it's open to anybody.
But the fact that you sit there and you're like, we really mean it, right? The fact that it needs that emphasis means that this needs to be deconstructed a little bit further.
Absolutely.
Right. So I don't go to the gym. I'm not super fat, but I'm fat enough. I should be in the gym, right?
I wouldn't say that, Scott.
I did. It's too late. Everybody knows anyway. It's not a big secret. But now, I'm not one of these people who doesn't want to go to the gym because I'm afraid of embarrassing myself at the gym, because I'm not.
Mm-hmm.
I'm one of these people who doesn't go to the gym because it is not convenient, right? So if you're the gym of woodworking and electronics and all the different things that you do, right? We got to have a category for people who think that this is too much to squeeze into their life right now. It's a little hard, right? And then we got to have another category for people who, back to the, the supportive thing, they're afraid of looking silly. And I think that is probably, and I'm trying to read, into a situation. I don't say that I fully understand, but they're afraid of looking bad.
Absolutely. Yeah, I'd say that. Or they're scared.
Right.
I find saws very intimidating.
Yeah, I can see that. Absolutely,
Yeah.
especially considering, the speed that you need to spin them for some of the hard materials that you have in the shop there.
Right.
But, okay, so between the fear for safety and the fear that someone's going to think that you look inexperienced, uninformed,
Mm-hmm.
and probably on another, not everybody kind of a level, the fear that your project's going to turn out badly. right? So when you say supportive now, and we've got these various constituencies that maybe we've parsed and teased out of there, how do we talk to them? Like, how, now that they're in, or just taking the tour, I don't mean actually members, how do you reassure someone?
I think it's something that we are still struggling with, to be honest, because this is a question that comes up all the time.
Right.
You know, in fact, I was at Pitt with our with Dan Woods, our CEO, and he was giving a speech there. And one of the ladies came up to me afterwards, and she said, I walk by Tech Shop all the time, and all I see are these giant welders, and you know, I think I don't belong there.
Right.
You know, so
that's how I feel about the gym when I'm talking about bodybuilders. I'm like, I don't belong there.
I hear you.
See that? That's no one I know looks like that.
Yeah.
Right. So on some level, I do agree. Sales in general is about, do people like me buy this? It is an identity question.
Yep. So, you know, I think it's about when somebody walks into the shop, the first thing that we'd like to do is to take them on a tour, right? Because they have to know what they're signing up for. Even if they've been there before, you know, it's a good idea to just walk through one more time. And during the tour,
now what is a member who doesn't have a student discount or something? What does a member pay to be a member of Tech Shop Pittsburgh?
I think about $125 a month,
Okay.
and depending on, you know, you can get like membership deals like during holidays. You can
I'm
get
just trying to put
discounted
people in the
prices,
context of what this tour is actually helping to explain, illustrate, and to a certain extent, with certain people, rationalize.
Yeah. So you know, you're talking about a pretty good amount, $125 a month, right? So during
Still cheaper than cable, but go ahead.
Absolutely. But you know, during the tour, not only do we kind of explain what each piece of equipment does and kind of go through that, but one of the things that we like to do is just to have you talk to the members. You know, if you see somebody working on a laser cutter or a 3D printer, you know, you definitely don't want to talk to somebody when they're, you know, cutting
Back to the
cutting metal.
high-speed spinning saw, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
But, you know, if they're working on something that we feel that it's okay to come up to them and, you know, they're not wearing earphones, which is, I think, the universal sign of don't talk to me.
It is.
Then we like to, you know, just have these potential new members talk to our old members, you know, and, you know, hey, what are you working on? Just, you know, how did you find out about Tech Shop, right? Or something like that. Why did you decide to join? Just a quick little thing. And then immediately now you have that connection with that person.
We have the same thing at the very other end with business to business sales, where someone wants to talk to someone who's already worked with this firm, who's already done a project like this, who's already spent $1 million on this product. Same exact idea. Why did you do it? And are you happy that you did it?
Yeah. And on top of that, after the tour, before you use any piece of equipment, you are required to take a safety class.
Right.
So it doesn't matter if, you are a novice, and it also doesn't matter if you have welded for the past 25 years. Everybody is required to take a safety and basic use class. So I think that kind of, you know, just levels the playing field, right? We're not giving people any preferential treatments.
Well, you need a skills inventory.
Absolutely.
That you can count on.
Absolutely. And we need to know that we have said, for safety purposes, that we said, okay, don't do this, but yes, do that.
Once we know that you passed our test, you can use our stuff in our house, and we're not worried about you.
Exactly. Yeah. So there's that aspect of it. Now, to another layer that we add is our what we call our DCs, or dream consultants.
Okay.
So they're our floor staff. So if at any point you feel insecure about using a piece of equipment, you feel like you may have forgotten how to do something, or you just have a general question, or, you know, you've been working on this project for like 10 hours and you're like, I'm stuck. You know, I just need to run this by somebody.
Somebody needs to tell me why I can't visualize the next step.
Exactly. Our staff is there to help you. And speaking from, you know, I live here in Pittsburgh, so I know the staff here best, but our staff is awesome and they're all so knowledgeable that I think that kind of just relieves that pressure of, oh God, you know, am I going to look stupid trying to use a lathe? Well, no, you have somebody there to help you at any point.
Well, I'm glad because that's the elephant in the room. No one wants to discuss anyone else's insecurity with them. Mm-hmm. Unless you get paid to do so.
Right.
Okay. If I need talk therapy, I have a guy. Mm-hmm. Right. And, I'm glad that you recognize that the support and the objection you get in the sales process, if I'm going to be sales nerd for a minute, right? Objections are a good thing. You want people to tell you why they're not buying. But you also then, when you have that information, you need to be able to act on it if there's a considerable population who has the same objection. And it sounds like you've built this in where the dream consultant and the, for lack of a better word, like the safety checkout, right? The skills inventory is what I called it a minute ago. That's all part of it as well. And you can then turn back around and say, we wouldn't let you use this if we thought you were an insurance claim waiting to happen.
Exactly.
I think that's not just smart business, but actually helps you to sell people on TechShop as an idea and the fact that they can actually do what they came to do, which means that they're going to be with you for longer and they're going to become a deeper embedded member of this community.
Absolutely. You know, we don't want anybody to fail. Obviously, if somebody's project fails, you know, talking about a sales standpoint, you know, they might leave.
They might just go,
They might say, well, we don't want to be members here anymore. Why?
I'm so embarrassed that people saw that.
Exactly. Or why do I keep coming here if my projects just keep failing over and over again?
People are laughing at me. Right? No, I mean, these are the things that haunt
you. You know, and it's embarrassing and it's true, you know? So we want to make sure that everybody feels at home. And, you know, one of the terms that we use quite often is we call TechShop like a third place. You know, if home is your first place, work is your second place, we want TechShop to be that third place that you can come to so that, you know, if you join for the cool equipment and you join for the ability to work on whatever project you want to work on, we want to make sure that if I talk to you in 5, 6, 10 months and I say, well, you finished that project, why are you still here? We want to hear them say, it's because everybody's so cool here and because I've become friends with all the members. And after we finish up what we're doing here, we're all going out for beers.
There you go.
So that's the type of community that we're trying to build. And dare I say, we have.
So talk to me a little bit about the work that you did for TechShop on the liaison side, right? You know, you were telling me that you were the liaison to, I believe, the Department of Defense and the White House for TechShop. What did that entail, and why can't I get that on my business card?
So it was a very interesting project. We were brought on to build a couple of trailers for the U.S. Navy, which became a pretty awesome success. And that turned into, you know, the Pentagon kind of asking for things and various folks from the Department of Defense. And because I was working on those trailers, it just kind of fell to me to keep doing that.
Yeah. When you say trailers, you mean like a TechShop on wheels?
Absolutely.
Right.
So we took, you know, giant like racing car trailers and turned them into mini rolling TechShops.
Yeah.
TechShop on wheels. You're right.
That's cool.
Yeah. So.
And it was a hit.
It was a hit. It was awesome. We took one of the trailers to the Maker Faire in DC this past year. And it got some awesome attention, awesome press. And what's been great is since those trailers were built and installed onto the naval bases that they were supposed to go to, a lot of those naval bases are using those trailers. They're taking them out and taking them to schools and teaching kids.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
That is pretty cool. So now you had this sort of moment where you were pretty proud of the fact that you did this completely. I mean, no disrespect intended. It's out of left field what you did.
Oh,
right?
absolutely.
Yeah, it came completely out of left field. And then you get to the end and you're like, hey, that's awesome. I did this. Look at what we accomplished.
Yep.
And then they call you one day and they say, oh, by the way, we're taking it to the local K-12 school kids so that they can have the same experiences.
Of course, which just warms your heart.
Right.
And with that kind of came the White House Office of Science Technology Policy, the OSTP.
Okay.
And we worked on a number of projects with them. And currently, I don't know how staffed that office is, but we're definitely we're still looking for good things to come from there. We're always.
I understand they're a little bit behind on staffing some of these things since the administration turned over.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of jobs aren't quite filled yet, but you're hopeful.
Absolutely. Yeah. And one of the wonderful things that came out of there was Nation of Makers. And I'm not sure if you heard about it, but, it's this wonderful organization, nonprofit, that is helping out all kinds of maker spaces and hacker spaces and educational facilities. And
we'll link to it so that people can see it. And if they want, it sounds like something that they might be interested in donating to or participating in locally.
Absolutely. And we're just working on how do we provide resources for those institutions, different types of resources.
Yeah.
How do we figure out what these institutions actually need?
Right. So from here, from where are you trying to go? You personally, not Tech Shop. Where do you want your career to take you next? Take the boxy thing, for example, right? That is a tremendous thing to be able to say that you were associated with. They're a great company. They had a momentous Kickstarter.
Absolutely.
And you were an integral part of it. The little birdie was very specific about exactly how much you were involved in this. Doing anything with a government agency, just from the jump, is hard.
Right.
Let alone having them say that you're allowed to repeat the fact that you did it.
Absolutely.
I mean, I realize that you're not like tech shopping missiles or anything, right? I mean, I realize it's not like a top secret program for that, but even still, just having the imprimatur of the DoD, yeah, go ahead, Olga. You can tell people that you built these shops on wheels for us. That is fantastic, right? And it's worth more than just sort of like what your good feelings are. It's currency in terms of helping you to live that life that you want. And I'm not saying, you should be gunning for that CEO that took you out to breakfast, because it doesn't strike me as where you want to go, right? But you do strike me as someone who really enjoys having the life they want, right? There's a quality of life that you're after. And I'm curious, where does it develop from here?
Yeah. I mean, I love working from home. I love being able to be with my family and having a flexible schedule. That is huge for me. And, family is my number one priority.
Yes.
And I love working with people. I love helping startups. And I love being a part of bettering a community. So
just more of that is what you're saying.
More of that is where I would like to go. Now, whether that's with Tech Shop or independently or, with someone else that, I can't say.
We'll find out.
We'll find out, but.
Likely to be Tech Shop, though.
Very likely to be Tech Shop.
You're very, very invested, and that's a good thing, too.
I'm invested. I am.
And how old are you at this point?
I'm 30. I just turned 30.
Oh, congratulations.
Thank
Happy birthday.
Thank you.
It's really no big deal. I'm sorry.
I'm excited. It was my 3-0.
I mean, I hear you and everything, but I mean, like everybody waits for like some sort of big thing to happen. Nothing happens.
No, nothing happened. Like the next day was just like work. It was,
you get taken like that much more seriously.
Yeah.
Maybe. Yeah.
But like not really. I may have gotten, like an extra gray hair that,
Oh, look at me. See all this?
I do, yeah. But see,
we're going to do the thing?
It just, we can do this.
We're going to do the thing, right?
A man
I knew it was
distinguished.
Coming. Yep.
And
I disagree.
I'm still going to color my hair.
Are you?
Yes.
How come?
I don't know. I don't know.
That's my question.
It's a good question. I don't know if it's like a societal thing or if it's because I like it. But my husband...
You're not there yet either. So, I mean, we're kind of coming to a conclusion that you haven't actually come to.
Yeah.
Right?
But,
you're guessing that you're going to do it.
You know, I think when I'm a little bit older, just give me like 10 more years.
Yeah.
And I don't want to color my hair at all. I just want to be gray, and I would be cool with that.
But yeah, you should see the number one fan of this show, the lovely lady that raised me, who does not color her hair and just kills it. Just absolutely kills it.
See, I like that. I want to get to that place.
Yeah, I know where you're coming from though. The male-female thing is fraught with these landmines.
Yeah.
And God save me from trying to explain it to you. But, right? That's presumptuous right there. Olga, let me tell you about what it's like for women in the workplace, right?
Please tell me.
If someone wants to reach out to you, how would they reach you?
You can email me, and it's just Olga, OLGA, at techshop.com.
Great name, by the way.
Yeah.
Not a lot of Olgas around.
It's my grandmother's name.
Very good.
Yeah.
I really appreciate you coming in.
Thank you so much for having me.
I hope you had fun.
I did. It was great.
All right, that's it for the Pitchwerks podcast. Thanks so much for tuning in. Thanks to Olga Pogoda from Tech Shop and all of her coworkers, including Aaron, who we're going to abuse on the internet. Hopefully you found some material in there that was useful to you. And if that's the case, hopefully you'll reach out and let us know what it was. Every bit of feedback helps us to improve the program. I'll catch up with you in about 7 days. Take care of yourself in the meantime.
The Pitchwerks podcast comes to you from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, a production of the Epicast Network and McTaggart, LLC. Engineering and production by Buzzy Torek and Nick Miller. For more information, show feedback, and ad sales, visit pitchwerks.com. pitchwerks.com. On social media, find and follow the show on Twitter, LinkedIn, Facebook, and Instagram using that same brand name, pitchwerks.